He's gonna explain it the best we can. It's time to get Lernid with that.
Good day, Big Earl Guitar Hoser. How's it going, everyone? Time to get you all learned. So I recently acquired this. This is a Granada LP copy, very obviously 1970s at some point. I know a lot about this era of instruments that were coming out of Japan because I've worked on a shitload of these things. And there's a lot of myths about them. A lot of people think, oh, they're all master build instruments and blah, blah, blah. There's a bunch of shit that's out there. So if you're interested in the idea of these lawsuit guitars, a couple of little things you need to look at. As I've stated before, I spent a lot of time in the 90s and the early 2000s doing fix and flips on guitars like this. Locally, I'd be able to pick up Japanese Les Paul copies for like 20, 30 bucks. You know, clean them up, do a wiring or whatever, and then flip them for like 75 or 100 bucks and buy weed. It was perfect. I've worked on 100, 150 of these things over the years, along with all the other guitars I've worked on, and there's a lot of myths about these instruments. These copies really vary in quality, depending on how they're built, the components used, the electronics, etc., etc. A lot of people just blanket charge ridiculous amounts of money for lawsuit instruments, and they're not all the same. There's sort of multiple grades of these copy guitars, and I just happen to have examples here that I can show you to compare and contrast. So on the bottom end we have things like King Buzzo here, or what's left of King Buzzo. This guitar when it was new was about 90 bucks through Sears Canada. These are really cheap beginner's guitars that aren't built very well at all. I did a video on this, I'll post a link to it, where we go into all the nasty details on it. So earlier this summer, some prick on local Kijiji was selling one of these things and wanted 500 bucks for it. And I emailed him and I'm like, dude, that's not a 500 buck guitar and you know it. He's like, oh, fuck off, man. It's like a classic lawsuit guitar, you know? People will pay what the market will bear. Well, hopefully in this video, you'll learn how not to get screwed over by the market. So this is a midline copy. This is Beverly. This is branded as Crest. This is built better than King Buzzo is. Still a plywood body, not that that means anything. Parts were a little bit better, the original parts that were on here. Definitely a little bit better fit and finish on it. This would be, you know, further up the line. No clue what this would have been new, but it was definitely built a lot better than what King Buzzo was. So let's do a couple of quick visual inspections on these instruments so you get an idea of the build quality and then decide whether or not you want to get screwed on the price of these things. Now, let's start with the inlay. So here's Buzzo, 12th fret, 1st fret. Beverly, 12th fret, 1st fret, and this is G's, 12th fret, 1st fret. Even from a distance, you can see from cheapest going up in price, the inlay gets sharper and the material's a lot better. You know, this is still plastic on here, but it's a lot more smooth than whatever crap they use on that thing. You're always going to have issues with neck pockets on these, with gapping, but the big thing to watch, go onto the treble side and see how far out it is. So you see how much of a lip you've got there on Buzzo. The reverse lip on Beverly, where the neck actually overhangs it, versus Jez here, which is pretty close to dead on. Third really quick way, side dots. None on Bev, none over there. This one's got side dots. And a fourth really quick one is the binding. The plainer or the simpler the binding on any of these Japanese instruments, the better the quality tends to be. So if we head over here to Buzzo, you can see white, black, white, trying to cover over where the plywood joint is. Beverly, we got 5-ply covering its plywood. And then with Jez, we just have a single ply. There's none on the back. Interesting thing that I've discovered over the years, the less binding a Japanese guitar has, generally speaking, the better the build. I don't know why that is. Can't always judge a book by its cover, But those are some telltale signs on things. Now, speaking of made in Japan, I'm going to go over this bullshit again. Ooh, it's a plate that says made in Japan. Steel adjustable neck. This must have been made at the legendary Matsudo factory, and therefore it's worth a lot of money. Or the legendary Makasudo factory. Or the, what was that one I just heard? Motosodo factory. Something stupid like that. Okay. This is just like the modern world. So Crazy Hidio's electric guitar and washing machine manufacturing concern is building guitars. They need neck plates. They buy them aftermarket. This means nothing about what factory it came from. There's a serial number. Ooh, it's a serial number. Therefore, this has got to be made at a legendary factory. I've worked on 70's Ibanez's with blank plates. Stock from the factory. Okay? It means nothing. Okay? Was this made by Hoshino? I don't know. Was this made by Fujigen? I have no clue, man. And just to prove I'm not talking shit, there's Ariana, that's Klinger, and that's Flasher. And you're going to try to tell me that those were all made at legendary factories. I've worked on all three of those. I've had to change parts on all three. All three of those have been torn apart. Let me tell you something. That ain't no legendary factory. So there, I done did learned ya. I'm in the store, I glance down, I see G's, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's interesting, an LP copy. And suddenly, just at a quick glance, I knew whether or not to bother looking at the price tag on it. Largely because, like I said, that weird thing, no binding on the back, simple binding on the front, I just know instinctively this was built fairly decently. And outside of a very slight rise that's in this part of the neck here, which could be age, yeah, this is a fairly decently built LP copy. This would definitely be like your more expensive Epiphone copies nowadays. Hopefully that just gives you a few tips on what to look for if you're looking around and you see guitars like these and go, should I take the plunge or not? So if you dug that video, cool. Check out the other videos on this channel. I'll have links to some of my gear videos from my other channel, which is mainly about effects, kind of showing some of these guitars that are behind me, as well as a whole bunch of other gear and a bunch more learning that a lot of people need to know. So thanks a lot for checking this video out. Big Earl, the Guitar Hoser here. Thanks a lot for watching, okay? Good day.